Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Best You Nation with both your hosts, Finn and Adler, myself, Finn, and of course, Adler on the other side. We
Hey.
are we are super excited to be here today. First of all, I want to say thank you for being here with me, Adler. We are I think this is our second episode into season 17. Um, and before we get things rolling and popping off, how are you doing, man? How is life treating you right now?
It's been one thing after another. It's just been very busy. Finished up my last week here in Grass Valley, California, shipping my car, packing, getting everything together, and that's the one downfall to traveling is you literally have to pack most of your life like belongings all together and then move it for 3 months and then move back. So that's been like the most challenging part. Excuse me. Um,
Bless you.
but yeah, thank you. The reason why I'm kind of dressed up today is I went out to lunch with some of the other travelers, and just it's like a farewell. We try to make friends everywhere we go. Me and Abby, and we made some pretty solid friends. And next time we come back to North California, we have definitely some people to just hit up, say hi, spend a couple of days with. But
Right, right.
I know your week was equally as like busy because you worked pretty much every day.
Yeah, it's been it's gonna be it's interesting because today's topic is kind of ties into what I'm about to say. So I won't really 100% spoil what we're going to be talking about and kind of what we actually want you to explain what we're going to be doing here in a second because this is a very unique
Yeah,
approach to our podcast. It's something we've never done before. I think this will be as I like to say, game changing. It will be something that will give us it's just a different insight on something that we have done in the past. Um, Not
it'll
recreating
give
anything, but
perspective.
it's perspective. Yes, I
Yeah, it just
agree.
gives
I think
perspective to um what was already like what we already knew. We had an idea, but it kind of just gives a little bit more clarity and just kind of um, layers it, so to speak, where it's just like you make a solid, um, you build your solid foundation from there.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
before
No,
I
I was
jump
just
in and
gonna say.
explain, go
Sorry. I was just gonna say
no, you
the
go
week
ahead.
was crazy. I worked 5 12s, and for some people who work 5 days a week, I get it. 5 days a week suck. You only really get 2 days off. I mean, it just all depends on how you look at it. 5 days, 5 12s, and of course, somebody who doesn't really sleep a lot. That's a lot of hours on my feet. A lot of hours just being mentally and
60
emotionally
hours.
available. Which, by the way, we've talked about this before. It's you know our job as healthcare workers isn't just about getting up and going to the job. There's an emotional and mental component that comes with it that really is hard to reset. It's but definitely by day 3 and going into day 4, that takes longer to refill that emotional and mental energy cup. So like day
Yeah,
1 going to day 2, that's probably the easiest. Then day 2 to day 3, okay, you're still getting refilling it, but it's a little bit slower. Really,
yeah,
by the time you've hit your 5th day, it is like you think you're at 100%, but you're really running on like 40% or 30%, and it's like really hard because you want to take care of people at the best ability as possible. And so, like, I guess this kind of ties into what we're doing today and what we're talking about. So before we even get going with that, I won't continue. Just kind of talk about, well, first of all, I wanted to hear kind of for myself, what was the idea? What sparked you to have the inspiration to do what you're about to talk about, knowing what we're talking about here without saying it? What inspired you and what motivated you to kind of take this direction for
Hmm.
this next season for us, and just kind of talk about it and
So
then kind of share what we're doing.
So basically, usually after each season, it's we usually try to find a theme or something to kind of like hold on to for the season. And I've caught myself going back and then just kind of just listening to some of the old stuff, and I started thinking to myself, I wonder if I still have the same viewpoints that I did way back then. Fast forwarding it 4 years into doing this, after 4 years, you're more than likely, statistically speaking, to have a different mindset or a different vantage point after a certain amount of time, right? And
Right.
so I figured, I was like, you know what? Why don't we take our top listened and top rated episodes and we'll go back and we'll revisit them. But this time now we're gonna just kind of just see if this is something that, like, do we still agree with it? Do we still see it that way? And kind of and that's why I said it gives perspective and kind of adds layer to like a already solid foundation. It's stuff that we already think or already have spoken about, but it's now just 2, 3, 4 years older, a little bit more mature. And
Mm-hmm.
the question is, do you still agree or do you still feel the same way? And it just, to me, it just seemed like it'd be something super interesting to kind of get into and just to see how different and how life has changed us after through the course of like the last 4 years.
Absolutely, man. No, I 100% agree. When you sent me the text a few weeks ago, I was like, wow, I actually really, really appreciate this. Just because, like you said, especially like today's episode wasn't that. It's more was actually surprisingly this today's episode is more was one of oh my gosh, I'm about to sounds like I'm having a stroke. Is one of the is stop is the top listened episode, which I find interesting because this falls into the top 10 category. Um, and when I saw the list, I was like actually kind of confused how this one was the top, but it is the top, and we're gonna run with it. But one of the things that I realized, and when you sent the text to me a couple weeks ago, was just like the fact that like I feel like for me, and I don't know, and I guess this is actually at least my perception because I'm not saying that you going from 30 or 29 to 34 or 33 is like I'm not there, so I can't really say. And you can tell me how you feel about this when I say this. That you feel like you felt like you grew more when you were my age. Like if you're jumping from 23 or 22 to 25, 26 years old, there's like that still kind of like a college kid mindset going into being an adult. Like actually like 25, 26, you're thinking a little differently. You're really your front lobe of your brain is completely developed. So I don't know if it makes sense, but I feel like if you think back to when you were 22, 23 years old and now 26, versus you going from 29 to 34. And I'm not diminishing the fact because it is still a difference between going from where you were 4 or 5 years ago. There's definitely a mindset change, but I just think that with going through that stage of life where you're actually biologically and anatomically still, your brain is still developing, it's going to be interesting to see just what happened even a couple of years ago. We were having a conversation about what we're talking about today. I don't know how you feel about that. I'm not trying to sound like, oh, wow, look at me because was 22 or 23 years old, that the drastic mindset change is more prevalent in my situation because I don't think that's necessarily what I see. I just am curious because you are where you are now and you've already been where I am now. So do you feel like, that has a play in it? Like I'm just because I don't know where I'm gonna if I'm
So
still
do
gonna
I?
sound
Are you
exact.
asking like, do I feel like I've made changes within like this 2 years or what? What it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yes, because like even though I don't know, and I guess it's everyone's growth is measured differently. I just feel like and Cassandra and I talk about this all the time. I remember when I was 23, I still felt kind of childish, and now I'm 20.
Yeah.
I'll be 26 in a couple weeks, and it's like weird because I feel like I'm really becoming more of the man that I'm supposed to be. And so like 2 years ago for you, you were in a different stage of your life as well. And now you are in a full blown relationship and you're engaged and you're doing planning and different things, and your mindset, I'm sure, is different in its own way. I've never been 33. I haven't been there yet. So I'm just curious to see where we are going to go with this episode today, just considering the fact that, like I said, the way that we thought 4 years ago, 5 years ago when we first started this podcast to where we are now. I guess I'll just start jumping right into it, because this is a question that I have for you. You have traveled now as a travel nurse for almost 5 years. 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, you said to me, and I remember sitting down, we were having this conversation. I'm sure you've talked about this with your family and other friends that you're really close to. You had this plan, you had this mission in mind, and it was to travel. You set this goal. I remember you had your goals quarterly written down and the things that you're going to accomplish. I remember you sending me your
Yep.
vision board. And now that you look back, you're less than a year away from accomplishing that goal that you set. And
Yep.
you met the woman of your life along the way. The goals that you have from an educational standpoint and from the podcast standpoint, do you feel like along this journey that when we asked the question, when we did this podcast, we said, what are you working for, right? That was the question that we had asked. This was actually, if you guys want to take a listen to this again and compare the two episodes in the future, this was season 9, episode 10. It released on March 21st of 2022, so it's been a little over 2 years.
It's
When we talked
entitled
about,
"What Are You Looking For?"
what's that?
No, I was just saying, re-saying the title. The title is "What Are You Working For?"
Correct. So in
So
your
if
journey,
you're just real quick, I'm sorry to cut you off, my
no, you're
just
good. You're good.
if you want more context, because we're not going to go over everything from that episode, definitely head back, take a look, check out that episode, and then
Exactly.
it'll kind of bring a little bit more context into what we're going to discuss. It's called "What Are You Working For?" Go ahead. I'm sorry, Finn.
No, I just wanted to. No, you're good, man. I just wanted to know, when you hear that now, when you hear the question, what are you working for? And looking back to, you're almost done now with your 5-year plan that you had set in place. And you were basically in your 3rd year of your plan, or 2nd year, 2.5 year plan, or into the dream or goal that you had. When you
Yeah.
hear the question, what are you working for? What is it that now rings for you? What does it mean to you when you hear that?
Well, I think your first question earlier was basically just talking about change, and I don't think that age necessarily factors into change, because the only thing that's guaranteed in life is that everything's going to change over time. So the jump from 22 to now, I know that I'm constantly always reinventing and changing myself, and I've accepted that. I don't try to go against the current, so to speak, on trying not to change. I embrace it. I just try to learn how to go with the flow and change with the times and change with the new data, the change with the new information. And um, being at 33, the goal, the 5 year plan is now at the very end of the 5 year plan. And so
Mhm.
now the question comes down to, how much did you accomplish within those 5 years, and then were you able to execute? And after 5 years, I can say, honestly, I've executed the best that I possibly can. Not flawlessly, not perfectly, but I've executed in a way that this is now a foundation that sets my life. And in that episode, I don't know if you remember, I was talking. It's a minute 27. I go into it on the episode, because I had to like look at it to verify. I was like, wow, man, that's crazy. I kind of go into this spiel about knowing that at some point my future kids and my future wife are going to be super proud and happy about like their father, their dad, planning and trying to set some things in place way before he even his wife, way before he had any kids, way before there was any possibility of this next stage. I had already had a vision, I had a plan, and I'm talking about like my future family, and I'm talking about how I'm trying to set myself up so that way when everything starts to come together, everything is already in place. And throughout that time, at that time, I didn't even know Abby yet. I ended up meeting Abby, I think, 2 weeks after that episode. And after that episode, that's you can kind of like I can see like it's come full circle where now I'm at the tail end of like the 4 years, and I guess I can kind of disclose a little bit of the 4 year plan or 5 year plan. But my 5 year plan was basically to go off, travel, explore the world, see as many countries and cities and states as I possibly can before I have kids. And along the way, that's when I met Abby. And the plan was also to save or raise X amount of dollars so I can start using it as a way of investing. And I have successfully done that in the last 4 years to the point where it's not anything like life changing, but it's enough to kind of know that going forward, there's like a little bit of a comfort, a buffer that I feel comfortable with now that I'm in this stage of life. And it's one of those things where like uh, you just highlighted how like when you were 22 you still felt like a kid. I still feel like a giant kid. I'm just a giant kid who now has access to a car and who can go buy his own stuff, you know.
Right.
So in that sense, like I still feel like I'm youthful, I'm silly, I'm goofy, I do a lot of just random stuff, but at the same time now I have a vision. And I think like if there's one thing that I can kind of like uh, I agree with my younger self, but it just kind of just proves that that quote: "Plan to fail," or "Don't plan and you plan to fail." And having an idea of what you want in life is never a bad thing. Having that idea is how you help shape your life into what you want it to be.
Right.
And it's been shaped into a way that I almost got to pinch myself because it's one thing to it's kind of like when we talk about how you and I were in Georgia and you were talking about getting into nursing school, and it was all just a plan. It was all everything was written on a sheet of paper. It wasn't real. It was just a concept right here, a little
Correct.
seed of hope. And through time, through planning, through hard work, through research, through everything, you see that plan beautifully come together. It was just a thought, it was just an idea. And now all of a sudden, this thing that you were fixated on and thinking about is now a tangible thing that's right here in front of you. And that is the most surreal moment because, like, you have an idea, but you don't know if it's going to work. You don't know if, like, God's going to force you to pivot. You don't know what's going to exactly happen. You just have an idea. Well, hey, if the world is still spinning, then I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And this is what my hope is for my future. And I know obviously some people they might think that it's a little extreme, like having New Year's resolution and having quarterly like goals and stuff like that. People might think that's weird. People might think it's extreme, and that's fine because I know it is not for everybody. But for me, that's how I stay focused. Because when I'm trying to think of what I'm working for, it's those moments right there. This helps me stay focused, helps me concentrate, helps me lock in to know that I have something bigger than myself. I'm fighting for a family that I don't even know yet. These are strangers to me. But I know one day that I'm going to love them. I'm going to love them and I'm going to be willing to give my life for them. So it goes to show you the power of a plan and also the power of speaking into existence. There's life in power in the tongue. So what
Right.
you declare, what you say for yourself, it usually ends up happening. And minute 27, that was a moment I was just like, wow, this is surreal. I can't believe I had talked about this. I'm in it now.
Mind blown. Mind blown. Yeah, no, man. I appreciate that. First of all, like I think it's interesting. You and I both had a different approach to how we were going to do this episode, because that sounds like you listened through it completely, or at least for the most of it.
Oh yeah. I
I
went
uh,
I dissected.
I actually did not. I read the synopsis of it, and I
Okay.
didn't. And this is why I think it's unique that we're both having a very different approach to it, because you listen to the full thing, you hear yourself, younger you, talk about this concept, the ideology of what are you working for, and then I'm over here on the other side. Like I didn't really want to listen to it because I didn't want myself to think. Number one, I didn't want to sound like I was still thinking that way. I wanted to bring something new to the table, if
Do you
that's
remember
what
what you said?
evolves from this conversation. Not really. So that's why
Okay.
I think it's going to be
I'm gonna
interesting, and that's why my approach is unique, because I wanted to take a
do you
different.
want
I
to know what
wanted to take. Yeah, I mean, I just my stance on it is I
I
really just wanted to listen. I listened to the first like 2 minutes of it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm actually not going to listen to this because I want to do this episode and the other episodes that come following, and just see and listen to both back and forth to see, whoa, this was just 2 years ago. This is where my thought process was. And now I'm here thinking this way. So it's interesting that you and I both had a different take on how we wanted to approach the episodes, because it sounds like you're listening to them. I'm more so like literally, I kid you not, like I'm looking at the screenshot that I took of that episode, and I'm literally just reading it. And I'm like, wow. So uh before you share, I just wanted to point this out, and I love the fact that you had no idea that you were going to end up with Abby. You had no idea that you were even like meant to talk to this girl, and like now you guys are together, you guys are engaged, and you guys are going to be at my wedding. Like just to talk about that, because I don't think we weren't even engaged. We were not
nope.
even engaged in 2000 and on by this episode. So a lot has happened over the last 2 years, and you said something, and I just want to quickly highlight this. And I love that you have made it this far with your 5-year plan. And I just want to quickly highlight this, and then you can say what you're getting ready to say. What I said. But what I just wanted to highlight was the fact that like you mentioned that you met Abby along the way. You're talking about Abby, and you don't even know it, on the show 2 years ago in March, and you were just working at whatever it is. So the question is, what are you working for? You're working for what? You were working for your dreams, your goals, your education, the investing that you had in the background, and to be able to take care of yourself. Nowhere did you probably have in the back of your mind that you were going to, in this 5-year plan, that you were going to be taking care of somebody else on a more personal, intimate level, because no one plans for that. It's just timing. Timing is everything. And Cassandra and I were talking about this the other day. But what I find interesting is that, you talk about this, and we all have to have the mindset of our goals and our dreams. We need to understand where we're going. People oftentimes, we get so tied up with the exterior. We get so tied up with what's going on around us, and we forget that we have other things going on. And it's really easy to get lost when you forget the very question of what we're talking about. What are you working for? So I was talking about this earlier, where I was saying, I've been working, I'm working a lot over the next 2 months. And it's because I know at the end of the tunnel, I have a number, an amount that I've already put in my mind. This is what I'm manifesting. And the only way to get there is to work my tail off, because I have a wedding that I have to pay for. These are things,
Yep.
this wedding is going to happen. But I know that in order for me to get there, I'm going to have to go through the trials and tribulations of the work. And I'm going to have those days where I'm exhausted. but knowing the reward on the other end, that's what I'm working for. I know that it's going to require me to bust my tail and get out there and again, have nights where I may not sleep as good as the others, but I know that there's a reward. I know that there is a huge life event waiting for me and Cassandra at the end of all of this that's going to be completely paid for and completely done, and no worries and no stressors that we have to do. And that's kind of like something that I thought about when you start talking about your 5-year plan. It's like it's a little bit more condensed. Over this last year and a half, we had no idea. A year ago, I want to say no, maybe like at the beginning of last year, we never really knew when we were going to get married. We just said it's sometime next year. And now we're talking about it's like less than 4 months away. And it's something that has to, be taken care of from a financial standpoint, but we both want so bad. And so when you're dedicated and you're committed and you're driven, you have to figure out what is driving you. And that's something that I personally think over the last 2 years, I have found myself being more and more focused on. As a kid, you're aware of your toys and your games and your buddies from school or recess. You focus on those things, and those are important for you at that time. But as I've gotten older, and I'm talking about like where I am as an adult, you realize that those were important things then. Important things now is my education, going into nursing school, getting married, preparing Cassandra to, get ready for her education and her path that she's going to be following. You realize that your priorities shift. The things that you're thinking about are different. And you
Right.
still, the concept of what are you doing today to make tomorrow better, that still is there. That never changed. It's just now that you've reached some of those goals. So for you, it was over a 5-year span. Some of the things that I'm doing now, those are happening. So you continue to push yourself. You continue to grow. And like you said it too, you said that it wasn't flawless. It wasn't perfect. There were some
No.
mishaps that you may have cut short on a couple of the goals, but that doesn't mean that you didn't work for nothing. You worked for something because you still are pushing. You're still going for the end goal. And because you made a promise to yourself, that's why you're reminded. That's why you finish the mile that you started. That's why when you get up in the morning and you make your bed and you get through the day, no matter what hardships are thrown at you, you get up the next day and do the same thing over again. It is incredible to see the growth that you and I have had individually and together on this podcast. And it really, to me, this is the big question: is what are we working for? What have we been working for over these last 2 years since this last episode first aired? And that's kind of like, the next part of this. But you were going to say something, man. You were going to say
Well,
something.
so in the episode, it's like towards the tail end. I don't remember which minute it was, but you had highlighted something. You were like, all right, you you were at basic training, and then you and some of the guys started doing a prayer circle, and you guys started doing this prayer circle every day because you guys, there was a lot of uncertainty about like what your fate was with the military. And so you guys are praying, and you said that there was like a whole bunch of people from atheists, like Jewish, Catholic, Christian, everybody, all walks of life. They got together and they prayed, and ultimately you ended up getting sent home. And it's crazy to think because it's like at that point in time, you thought that was the worst thing that ever happened to your life. That's something that you kind of like highlighted, and you fast forward from when that time. I don't know what year did you basic training? What year?
No, that was tail end of 2016. I got sent home in 2017.
So
To
from
2017.
2016, we're going to go to 2016. Your plan and vision of what life was going to be was one direction. And when it got cut off in 2017, you were upset, you were disappointed. But my friend, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to you. Because if you didn't do that, you wouldn't have met Cassandra. If you didn't go through that heartache, you would have never met Cassandra, the person that is the love of your life. And it's
True.
funny. The ironic thing, the most ironic part is sometimes when it feels like life is just kicking you repeatedly over and over and over and over again. And it feels like everything's just crumbling and just falling apart around you. Sometimes it's not that things are falling apart, it's that God is allowing things to fall into place. So the direction in which you thought your life was going to go, you thought everything crashed down and it was terrible. You were upset, you were mad, you were struggling. And it fell right into place. And you fell in love in the time that you were supposed to fall in love. You got engaged when you were supposed to get engaged. You will start nursing school when it's time for you to start nursing school.
Which
So
I
you
think
have,
I look at God, I literally look up and I'm going, two major life events happening at the same time. That's got to be crazy. You got nursing school, one like literally less than a week apart from each other. School starts on a Monday, get married on a Sunday.
yeah,
But it's meant to be, and I appreciate that you're saying that because I've been
it's
like,
all about timing, all about timing. And you could easily say, "Oh, well, I should have been in school 2 years ago." Fine, whatever. But you're exactly in the situation that you need to be when you need to be in. And the
mhm.
moral of that is to basically show our listeners and everybody who is paying attention is that sometimes life doesn't go as planned. That doesn't mean it sucks. That just means that you just have to be willing to adjust, to pivot. And sometimes you find better things in life than what you even imagined. And you're going through that now. So uh, it's funny because like I remember you brought that up, and then you also brought up a young lady who was a Paralympic athlete that it went to go perform in um, the Olympics, and she was saying that she's doing this for all the other kids that are in wheelchairs to let them know that they don't have to have limits. They can exceed any limit that they set their mind and heart to, but you have to work at it. You have to train. And you highlighted that, I can't remember her name, but you highlighted that young girl's story. And then after that, we kind of went into like what we just discussed. And then I kind of talked about my work experience over in University of North Florida.
That was that the no, that was a different situation where the story of you going to UF and you were
I
at
was,
this like you're
I was
18 years old.
a dishwasher. I was a dishwasher. And the
Oh
lady had me
yes,
doing a lot of demeaning work, and I said I quit. And she cut me out of the schedule. And, you know, that, again, like I said, that was one of the most best things that could have happened to me because it freed myself up. And then I ended up ultimately moving back home anyway. So
right,
I got to where I needed to be exactly when I was supposed to be.
absolutely. Well, if I'm gonna continue what I did in the first time around of this, I'm gonna bring another athlete into the picture just to kind of add to this.
Yep.
So Cassandra and I have watched. I'm gonna give the short version because I know what I can do and I would love to. But we watched a documentary, 4 episodes about David Beckham. I grew up watching
Yep.
David Beckham as a kid. I remember watching him play soccer like no other person. He was up there with Lionel Messi and Ronaldo, and David Beckham.
Yeah,
He
he's
was
good.
world
I don't know
renowned
if
at such.
he's
Well,
good. I don't know if
you
he's
gotta.
the same
He,
Ronaldo, but that's fine. That's not your point.
yeah, no. So David Beckham, he was. I didn't realize he went through so much ridicule and um, so much bullying and judgment. And I mean, I'm talking about like the fans of England and the fans of Manchester United, Real Madrid, all these teams that he played for booed him, and just man, it was just insane that he went through all this. And one of the things that, and one of the just one thing that has, I mean, there's so many different pieces to highlight. But there was one part where it was the last episode actually where he was playing for Real Madrid. And basically he was getting ready to transfer over. This is when he was getting ready to transfer over to the MLS. So MLS was not all that at the time. This was
Yeah, it
early,
had
like
just
middle of the 2010s. It started really getting kind of going, and LA Galaxy wanted him to play on their team, and they offered him $250 million, which is unheard of for any soccer
at that time.
player at the time in U.S. soccer.
Yeah,
So David Beckham takes the deal, but he had to finish out playing at Real Madrid. But because he was playing at Real Madrid, the coach and the manager, everybody found out that he had been like discussing, plans with other clubs. They basically told him, "You're not going to play on my team anymore." And he then also couldn't practice with the other guys anymore. He had to practice alone. So David Beckham, what do you think David Beckham did? Do you think David Beckham said, "Okay, fine, I'm just going to go to the U.S. now," or does he get up, go to training, and do just as good, if not better, than what he was doing when he was with the other guys? What do you think he did?
so I'm assuming that it's going to be the latter option, only because uh, you kind of
The way I
prefaced
put
it that way.
emphasis on it? Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So what do you
So
think
yeah,
he
so
did?
he basically. So what do you think he did? I mean, duh,
What
I
do you
basically gave it
think?
away.
You went.
He
What do you think he did?
literally trained.
B, big B.
Pick B, pick B, B for Bex, B for Beckham. No, but seriously, he showed
Right.
up to practice and he blew everybody's. He blew the manager and the owner's mind so hard. Okay, blew their minds so badly that it was to the point where they had no other choice, but they could not watch him train on his own because he was doing so well training alone. They were just like, no, we're gonna have to have him train with a group. He deserves it. He works so hard alone. And what he says, and I can't get a quote unquote, but he said that I will do everything I can to to play soccer, to play football. He did everything. When he got booed, when he had fans, I mean, thousands, thousands, and thousands. When there was the affair scandal that took place, you have Victoria who goes off to U.S. and he comes back and plays in Europe. There was a lot of dynamic pieces moving, and the moral of the whole story. I mean, it's a really awesome documentary. Watch it. It's a 4-part series. It's on Netflix. It's really, really, honestly amazing. It just puts things in perspective because even the most successful people in the world struggle. And if you want to see somebody who is one of the top players in the world from the England side of things, this man would go onto a field and all you hear is wanker and boo, and like I mean the entire game. Imagine 90 minutes of you having to be the most performing player on the pitch, and everyone's booing you. That is like humiliation. Like you suck. You're not good. And it's like, man, and this man is highly
That's the
respected.
PG version. That's the PG version of what they were saying to him.
Yes, it was. And it just, he worked so hard to make sure he could provide for his wife, for his kids,
Hmm.
and to have a future and have a career that he'll remember forever. And now to this day, I mean, he literally talks about it. Like he says, I always knew that I'm never going to stop. I'm always going to go. I can never stop.
Yep.
Soccer, I know there's going to be a time in my life where I cannot kick a ball anymore because it's pretty much, your body starts getting tired. So now and he's the president and co-founder of the Miami Herons, which is a MLS team, and they're doing really well. They're in first place. I give it to them. Obviously, I
Isn't
got to
that
support Orlando City.
Messi's team?
Yeah, Messi plays on there.
Yeah, it was his.
Busquets, Luis Suarez. You have some of the best. Jody Alba, he plays there. You just got some of the best guys who play with each other. They call them the Barcelona boys because they all played at Barcelona in Europe. But just
Oh,
to kind of yeah. So but David Beckham knew what he was doing. He actually manifested it, and he worked really hard to get Messi there, to get all these guys to Miami to redefine and just completely redesign the landscape of soccer in the U.S.
revamp.
to improve it
Yeah.
to where he was. So he always had a vision, and it just goes back to the question: what are you working for? What was
What you
David
working?
Beckham working for? So,
And to
anyways,
me, it sounds like he was just working for protecting his kids and like providing the best type of living. So
yeah,
um,
and
that's something
they're
that
my
like
age.
every person, yeah, every person wants to be able to provide, and you know
Yeah.
that in some capacity, shape, or form, you want to provide. So that's that's a pretty good like I guess preview for the documentary. It's on Netflix, so I'm gonna probably have to check that out.
Oh, you
But
should totally. You and Abby should check it out. Seriously.
sure. But yeah, I just kind of wanted just to highlight this episode, and I think we kind of want to cut it short today just because I've got some moving to do. I'm moving from California
I
back to
got dinner
Florida,
to eat.
so we're gonna cut it here. But we just want to make sure that you guys know that we care about you, we love you, and we appreciate you. And if you are not hearing that enough, if you're not getting it enough, then just understand this: that us on the Best You Nation, we care about you guys. We love you. We appreciate you. And if you love us and you support us and you're really down with like the content that we have going on, then please do us a favor and check us out on YouTube, check us out on Instagram, check us out on TikTok. Um,
Yes.
the handle for Instagram is the Best You Nation. I have a TikTok that's 24 hours in a day, and uh, that's that's how you can connect with us. Let us know what you think. Let us know how you feel, and we appreciate all the ones that do like contact us and just to kind of just give us updates on like their lives and just to thank us. So that's always like something that's a it makes me feel good. It makes me um, it makes my heart kind of flutter a little bit. So
It just lets us know that people are paying attention.
they're actually listening and they're taking to heart the words that we're saying. So that's something that's huge.
Absolutely. Well,
Finn, do you feel
I
like
got
you
nothing
have
else.
anything else you want? No.
I don't have anything else besides the fact that for people who want to check out YouTube, you'd mentioned YouTube. YouTube is comes out on Mondays, 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. All
Oh, that's
audios
right.
from all the platforms, like just like from the beginning. Those are all available on Tuesdays following the YouTube. You can actually premiere it. So we set it up where you guys can join in and watch it like as if it's like a watch party. So you can join us at 5:30. It's available. You guys can be in there with other people listening to it. You guys can grow, learn, and exceed in life the way you want to. So YouTube is definitely making its track with the Best You Nation, and we
It's
just
good.
thank you for being a part of what we're doing, what we believe in, and how we're approaching the things that people really need to sit down and talk about. I think we're bringing life
For
to
sure.
that, and if I've heard people say it, I've heard people at work tell me, "Hey, I listen to your podcast. You guys are talking about stuff that needs to be talked about," and we really do appreciate that, and we hope that you guys will continue to support what we're doing here. But I got nothing else. Instagram, you mentioned it, the Best You Nation, and of course, Adler, you
Yep.
got your platforms 24 hours in a day. So
Covered all the bases.
yeah,
So
all
like
the
I
good
said,
stuff. I just want to make sure everybody knows and hears and just gets it. We want to be that annoying voice, but a good voice of annoying. Like what do you say? What do you always say? The household name. We want to be like Beyonce, okay? You remember, like everyone knows who Beyonce is. Everyone who knows who all these people, you name it. Tom Brady. We want to be the Best You Nation. Oh, I know them. I know those guys. You can look us up literally on Google. Start typing in the Best You Nation. Our name starts to populate. It's pretty nice. It's a pretty good feeling.
it's well,
Yeah,
like we were saying before, we're in
we're gonna get
this
out of here.
to try to yeah, no, yes, that too.
Oh,
We're in this to try to help, just like what Finn just highlighted. So if there's anything that we can help you out with, you could feel free to reach out to us. Um, other than that, we love you. We appreciate you. We're happy that we get to be that one dose of positivity, and we hope that you're able to just grow and listen and tune in. We appreciate you. We love you.
absolutely.
Take care.
Love you.